Hi, Chris Dawson here at the delivery conference with Al from Zigzag. So Al, tell us a little bit about Zigzag and what you do there.
So Zigzag is a return solution. We help retailers manage returns both domestically and globally. We've been doing that for about 8 years now. We ship over £1 billion worth of refunds through the platform every year for some very large household name retailers, people like Sports Direct, Boohoo, Selfridges, Superdry and many more.
So peak was exciting this year with Royal Mail strikes impacting just about every carrier. But tell us, from your perspective, it's more about returns. How was peak for returns this year? Did you see any trends that were different to other years?
So we've seen, since the pandemic, a lot more buyers buying bigger baskets. So they're buying more items to try on at home. The bedroom has become the new fitting room, and we've got a large number of consumers that then want to return items naturally. So we've seen a growth in things like lockers and collection from home as people are still working from home. Through the peak, we also saw demand for different carriers. Obviously, some carriers were either struggling with the volumes they had, or others were on strike. So we were able to actually flip traffic from one carrier to another one very quickly, and I think that's one of the benefits of working with a platform like Zigzag. But we've seen actually volumes very, very strong, even throughout January. So peak doesn't really end in December for us, it carries on after Christmas.
So that's really interesting what you're saying about people buying larger baskets and trying on at home. But that must have a knock-on impact for the retailers, and we're starting to see stories about retailers where everyone wanted free delivery, free returns in the past, starting to charge for paid returns. What impact on retailers are you seeing from there? Is it lowered returns? Do consumers still buy or not buy?
So lots of retailers are trialling paid returns, and I think the very interesting fact is that everybody that has switched paid returns on from a retailer perspective hasn't switched it off again. So it's not impacting in the long term the conversion rate, which is really positive. I think buyers are becoming a bit more accepting of paid returns, and large retailers like Boohoo and Zara really set the trend last year, but we've now seen other retailers coming on online, and I think you'll see it become the norm actually with large retailers and some of the smaller ones now taking advantage of the fact that customers are willing to pay for returns.
And when customers are paying for returns, are they paying for it up front to actually take it to a post office or a parcel shop and here's my money, here's my parcel, or is it being deducted out of the refund? What sort of mechanics are retailers using?
So we have a portal that the buyer can go on and they can choose the carrier they want. So we support things like post office, parcel shop, locker or collection from home, and the consumer can have a free return or a paid return based on the retailer's policy. We also support return to store to push the customer into store, and we're also helping with deduction from refund as well. So pretty much any scenario you can imagine. So
a real variety of scenarios going on.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's quite a bit of kind of experimentation in the field of returns, which is something that, I mean, everyone thinks a return is a return, but actually it's quite complex, isn't it? And what are retailers asking from that returns flow? Obviously they're looking to not monetize it, but restrict losses by having free returns, so they're starting to use paid. But are they looking deeper down the flow? When do they, for instance, do the refund? When do they make the stock available for resale again? What kind of trends are you seeing, and what are retailers asking you for?
So I think we exist for a few different reasons, but one is to help save both costs for the consumer and for the retailer. Second is to get the product back into the supply chain more quickly. Third would be to give visibility to that retailer about where that product is and to the consumer about where their refund is at any one time. So that helps with things like loyalty and retention of that customer. And then we're looking at things like sustainability to help cut carbon footprint.
And talking of carbon footprint, sustainability and the impact on the environment is front of everyone's minds at the moment. And it can't be that sustainable to buy something just to send it back. So what can Zigzag do to help retailers with the sustainability story, and how can a retailer then convey what they're doing to their consumers in their own story?
So I think there's a few things. About 70% of the returns we do are now label-less, so nothing to print for the consumer or for the retailer. So lots of retailers are saving on the amount of paper they're sending out in the box. They're getting rid of dispatch notes. But then there's being able to choose more sustainable carriers like electric vehicles, for example. We're even working with some bicycle carriers in some countries to help that journey. We're then able to help grade that product in local markets, so you don't have to return it all the way back to the UK. So retailers want to be able to give a faster refund to consumers, and consumers want their money back. So I think we can help at both ends of that journey, and then we can help resell that product to the next consumer that's ordered the same things.
And talking about having to give money back, no retailer wants to do that. Okay, you have to do it for returns, but what can retailers do to kind of save the sale and not have to give such large refunds all the time?
So I think there are a few different measures. First of all, the data is really important. So find out why your customers are returning items in the first place, so we can help dig into the return reasons. We can help with the journey for the customer to choose the most economical route to send the product back. And then when the goods are, when we know what's coming back, we can actually choose to offer an exchange to a consumer. So some consumers have bought a size 8 and they might need a size 9, so they can swap for the next size up or down. They can swap different colours, or even refund to store credit. So we're looking at things like a refund to gift card, where we can actually help credit that consumer so they can spend again with that retailer, but also, quite interestingly, offering instant refunds based on tracking scans. So if we've got the right trust level with that buyer, we can trigger that refund nice and early, so they're not asking for their cash back early.
Fantastic. So there's an awful lot going on with returns. If there was just one piece of advice you could give a retailer for 2023 as we start going through the new year concerning returns, what is the most important metric they can focus on?
So look at the data. So you really need good data to make good decisions, and I think we've got oodles of data that we can give you, not just on your own data for why your customers are returning, but industry data. So how do you benchmark against your competitors? So happy to get in touch if we can share some of that information with you and show you our new reporting hub.
And that begs my final question, which is, how do they get in touch with Zigzag?
Yeah, so find us online at www.zigzag.global.
Al, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. Lovely to see you again.